Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to show you how to grow your manufacturing company. Now, I've helped thousands of people do this, and I have zero doubt that if you implement these steps, you're going to have the same results. Now, to really understand how to do this, you got to understand what's holding you back. What are the challenges? Well, the first challenge is when you're manufacturing a product, you have to lay out the cost of the materials, you have to pay the labor, the marketing, your sales team. And then after you produce that product, you're going to send your client an invoice. That client is you typically give that client 15 to 30 days, maybe more to pay. Now, a couple things here. You are constantly counting on that client or customer to pay on time, which means from the time that you start outlaying money to the time that you get your money back, it could be 60 days or more, right? If it takes you 30 days to produce it, you're outlaying all that money. You're not getting it back till day 60 if they're paying on time. If they're not paying on time, you and I both know that that can roll out a little bit longer, right? So that is a big challenge. The second challenge is what happens when you want to take on larger jobs or larger orders? Well, you can do PO financing, you can do project funding, but a lot of the challenges still remain the same. You still have to outlay materials, pay for your labor, and additionally, you need time to market it. You have to put it all together, and then you're still net 30 after you invoice. So all this creates a cash flow challenge and a cash flow crunch. And if you are going to grow and scale your company, you have to be able to handle those cash flow crunches. Now, a lot of people think, oh, I should get a line of credit for this. Well, when you're doing and when you're continuously growing, you're going to use the majority of that line of credit. So it doesn't always help. In fact, it could hurt you if you max out that line of credit because then you really don't have anywhere to go. And if you take out a loan, once that loan is taken out, you have a payment. Same thing with a line of credit, you have a payment coming in, eating away at that cash flow, right? So the hardest thing, the biggest challenge manufacturing companies face is growing their business and managing their cash flow at the same exact time in order to take on more clients or more customers and larger customers, right? One large order or two large orders can really set you back. In addition to it setting you back, if they don't pay on time, you could run out of cash and then everything come to a screeching halt. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can, a couple programs you can implement, a couple of ways that you can counteract this, right? Right off the bat, the first thing you do is change your terms, but a lot of customers don't like if you change your terms, right? The second thing is when you're dealing with larger customers, okay, or Fortune 500 companies, they can dictate the terms to you because you know you want that client or customer that you want to work with them, right? And you know they're going to order continuously and they're going to be larger jobs. You have to figure out a way to balance the cash flow and bringing on new clients. So I'm going to show you the way, right? It's usually called invoice factoring, and you can combine invoice factoring with a line of credit or project funding if you get a big job, and we do this all the time. So let me just share my screen with you, and we will go from there. All right, give me 1 second as I'm sharing this, and we'll get into it. So let's look at wrong screen. Let's look at this. So let's just assume that you are doing $200,000 a month in sales. You have 100,000 on hand. Your average job size 50,000. Your invoice term is net 30. You usually take it on 4 jobs a month, and material cost is about 40% of the job. Now, it doesn't really matter. These numbers are going to change depending on your type of business and your model. But in this, you could see that, hey, after you pay for these 4 jobs, right, it's going to cost you 80,000 to pay for material. This doesn't count labor costs or marketing. You only have 20,000 cash on hand. You have 100K coming in from previous invoices because a couple of clients paid you slow. You add the income coming in with the cash on hand, it brings you to 120,000. Now, let's just say you pick up one more job. So now you have new invoices of 250,000, but only one person paid you from the last job, which happens, right? You have material costs of this. Now your cash on hand is only 50,000, right? And then you pick up another client, you have 300,000 new invoices, and again, only one person paid you, right? We're going into a economy that is going to be hurting, or it is hurting now. We're on the borderline of a recession, so this can and will happen. You have 6 new jobs, your material cost is 120,000. It's going to be very hard to start that job. Now, if you were set up with invoice factoring, right? And this is, mind you, this is only keeping your current $50,000 jobs, right? So if you decided to take on larger clients, these numbers would be even more skewed. And what that would do is hurt your cash flow even further. Now, in the example below, we're using invoice factoring. I'm only going to show you 2 months, right? Because that's all you need to see the difference. So if you have an advance amount of 85%, all that means is if you have a $100,000 invoice, when you factor that invoice, they're going to give you 85% of it, and they're going to hold the 15% in the reserve. The cost is only going to be 2%. So you're only going to give up 2% of that invoice. Now, invoice factoring typically ranges from around 1% to 4% per 30 days. All right. We have great invoice factoring. We're usually going to be around 1%, but I'd rather do it at 2% just for the example of this. So you see, you're not giving up a lot. So if you have 200,000 in new invoices and you factor all of them, right? And this is, we're starting from this example here. If you have $200,000 of new jobs, you factor them, you get 170,000, right? Plus the income there, you're going to have, and then you subtract the material costs, you're going to wind up with $382,500 of cash on hand. So you can easily afford any bigger jobs or more jobs coming on, and you're not stressed about cash flow. And all this cost you on this, okay, all this cost you on the $200,000, okay, is $4,000. To have that much cash on hand for you to move forward and take on more jobs. This is the secret. This is how companies like yours can and will dramatically increase, okay, your business. You're not giving up a lot of margins, and what you're able to do is you're able to be flush with cash so you can take on larger jobs or more jobs, right? Or hopefully a combination of both. And I can tell you, I have example after example after example of people that have used this program with us and that have doubled or tripled their business. One of my friends, Austin, he has a sticker simple business. Basically, he makes and installs all the graphics for any type of company, usually a Fortune 500 company. And they weren't paying him on time. So what he would do is he would have to go borrow money, either a line of credit or a loan or a working capital advance, which are all super expensive, right? So instead of doing that, he started doing invoice factoring, and he had the cash to grow and take on more jobs. When we first started, he was probably doing anywhere between 60 or 70,000 a month to 100,000 a month. Now he's doing between 250 and 350,000 each and every month, and he's not giving up any or too much profit because it's invoice factoring and it's super cheap. And this has allowed him to grow and scale, hire more employees. He's not worried about anything in terms of cash flow, and he's not borrowing money at expensive rates, right? And now he has all this cash on hand, so he's been able to grow and expand. If he can do it, you can do it too. If you guys have questions about this or you want to learn more, please shoot me an email, comment on the video. We're here to help. This is the easiest and best way, and I'll tell you, this only goes to the business. So if you ever needed an SBA loan or a line of credit or anything else, you can combine all these programs together, and it's not going to show up on your debt to income ratio if you need to buy a house. All right, we're here for you. I hope this helped you, and tune in for the next one.